Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in for this episode of 2 1/2 and 2 1/2. Today, I'm going to be talking about digestion. Now again, I'm talking about something particular in reference to digestion, mainly indigestion, gas, bloating, problems associated with digesting foods. And a lot of times when people come in, and then they sit down or with me and we have a conversation and they have those issues, they'll talk about a specific food. Well, this causes problems, or caffeine causes problems, or tomatoes or Brussels sprouts or beans. These are all causing problems. And I kind of take a step back and I say, wait a minute, okay, that very well may be the case, but the thing is, let's look at how you eat the foods combined together. Because what happens is that when you combine foods together and when you eat foods, they are all in there together. And if you have quick digesting foods mixed with slow digesting foods, essentially you can cause some problems. Again, because the body's trying to break down, the quick digesting foods. That's already over and done with. And it has to sit around and wait for the more heavily digested foods and wait for those to break down. And again, as you can kind of get that impression or that idea, is that sometimes when food sits there for long periods of time, it can cause gas and bloating and indigestion. So what I'm going to talk about is really just give an illustration that I use to help explain digestion, food combining, and really the process of when you ingest it all the way till you release it. And the best illustration that I use is I talk about a race. So let's talk about digestion in terms of race, a 26.2-mile race. Okay, and you've got participants in this crazy land of mine. Let's say that you've got food as participants. All right, so there are 3 participants in this race. The first food is this. Beep. What is that? That is an orange. What do you think of when you think of an orange? You think of something light, refreshing, cool, lively. I don't know. But again, you don't generally think of something that's very slow with an orange. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But when I tell people an orange, they think of good, healthy, clean types of foods. The second food is this piece of dark chocolate. Now, this is 88% dark chocolate. I like dark chocolate, but that's for another story. But let's say the second participant is this chocolate here. All right. Now, what do you think of this? Quick energy, a sprinter, something that gets done very quickly, gives you quick energy. Those are the things associated with the dark chocolate. And the third participant, which I absolutely love, is this. You know what this is? Spam. Yummy. This little piece here is Spam. Everybody ever seen what Spam looks like? Boop. All right. Anyway, so the third participant is this piece of Spam. What do you think of Spam? I think of something very slow. I think of methodical. I think of just basically just gross, overweight. That's generally what I think of when I think of Spam. So let's say that in this race that you have 3 participants. Okay, the first participant, as I said, are these 3, and they're lining up at the digestion, which is your mouth, the starting line. Okay. And they're taking off in the race. And let's say that you eat all of these together and they're starting the race together. Well, generally, if you think about these 3 things, which one do you think is probably going to get done with the race the quickest? I probably would say this. Very well. All right, so let's say it's this because it's, it finishes the race. It's quick, it's energy, boom. It's waiting there at the end of the race because, again, it can't finish the race without waiting for these other 2 things to finish. What's next? Let's say this little orange. So the orange, it's done with the race. Then the third one is this big piece of Spam. And you think of the Spam and it's very slow, as I said. So at the end of the finish line, you've got these 2 things that are just sitting there waiting for this slow little piece of Spam to finish. Now you can think of digestion the same way, is that when you eat these 3 things together, okay, what happens is that these are digested quickly. These are, utilized very quickly. And the end result, they have to sit and wait for this very slow piece of Spam to get finished and used. All right. So by doing that, what happens is it can cause a lot of problems in your digestion, mainly indigestion, gas, bloating, all the things that people experience with bad digestion or a specific food. So my point in all of this, in this video, is essentially to say, rather than look specifically at foods themselves, look at how you're combining the foods together. That's the most important thing. So I hope you appreciated this video or got something out of it. Feel free to comment or like the video. I'd love to have your feedback if you want to comment on it. Or down here at the bottom, you can copy and paste this link in there, and I'll send you a great ebook that talks about enzymes and digestion. So I appreciate you guys tuning in for this. Have a wonderful day. See you on the other side.